So in case you didn't know, old system over here, it had limited memory system to go for you to be able to write certain codes and certain instructions that then allow you to somewhat manipulate geometric shapes, so like electromagnetism, that's kind of rotation like that wheel here. Yeah, so that old system over here with a lower frequency, lower computational power, would then somewhat limit that robotic system over here, based on like how many instructions you could input in there. New system, yeah, as you can see, same parameter, same size of the table itself, but now you're able to put in a data structure that's much better in there and much more complex. That then allow you to have access to like another two-dimensional field, but then a three-dimensional field with more data in there, more instruction that you could access faster than this one over here. What's up? And then allow you to do a much more complex function within the computational model of that robotic system and that unit itself to be with the same amount of energy. So you get more bang for your buck on a much more complex level. And then they'll allow you to like somewhat do more with that wheel over here. Yeah, within the mechanical system, even on the micro scale. What's up? Yeah. That's not to forget the energy transmission that you got to update, because you have to remember that I'm an electrician also, so I know what I'm talking about. This is like, I say again, I know the mental. So anyway, back on topic. So as an electrician, I know what I'm talking about. So I live through the timeline where currently I had to go off and replace a whole bunch of electrical outlets inside the residential area, and eventually that's where you get to see the error that was related to like the human limitation that's related to the law of energy, and like eventually the evolution, the adaptation that they had for what they had to work with. So when I did my residential work around the space here, I had to remove a whole bunch of old wires that was made out of aluminum back then. Yeah, and replace them with like not copper 120 volt outlet, but go off and upgrade them to 220 volt systems, because of the fact that back then you didn't have another energy transmission that was way for communication initially and stuff like that was non-existent. They bought the phone line later on, I believe, and then eventually later on they updated the phone line to DSL, and then the phone line later on got updated to like fiber optics and then 5G systems. That was only recently in the 2000s, or like over the last 2 decades. When I finally hit adulthood on the space. So somewhere in that space area, where I was upgrading outlets, but not for 120 volt system, but for 220 volt systems, or 240 volt system, whichever one that we use out here. That's another European one, to then go off and like power up more machine systems on the space. Yeah, like on washing machines, better AC, better televisions, all sorts of stuff that's way to like, hey, my outlet is going to break my circuit over here, because if I need to power up all these things around the space here. And then eventually I don't have a grounding system to go off and meet the electrical safety that needs to be met, due to the fact that some of the system themselves, because most people don't even know that the third prong came in later on as a safety standard for a fire technical problem that they solved, to go off and like figure out what to do when a short circuit or like a conductor inside of this machine system will go off and somewhat fry due to the law of physics. Kinetic energy and stuff. Energy must dissipate somewhere. So over time you get friction and stuff that happen, and like stuff that's way to like bugs like fly into stuff, and like things flying around the space out. And then eventually there's only one return path, and that path is not completed, but at the same time the circuit is still being energized, due to the fact that you still have other things where that someone ground or transmit energy one way or another to other things around the space here across the entire system. Like somewhere the short circuit is going to connect to the entire metal enclosure, and eventually that's going to be energized, and eventually that energy itself is not going to go somewhere, but at the same time there's still a potential difference that's still somewhat conducting that energy somewhere. So when the return path get demolished, you go off and you touch it, zap, you might get electrocuted, killed. You can come back to life. Once you're electrocuted, you're dead. Then they made the third path over there as like an emergency path, and that's what most of the rich people will go off and complain about, because the emergency path would be an emergency path for the fire department that costs them millions of dollars to like maintain and sustain, like the fire lane, the fire hydrant, the fire exits, the fire lights, the fire pattern over there to go off like communicate, the fire blueprint over there they have to go off and give to the fire department, and the fire department themselves that they have to go off and pay themselves up with the highway that they have to maintain. So it's an extra tax and cost that cause them over time, just to make sure that they can maintain a safety feature to like so the customers that they bring for the money that they want to make sure have, and not kill everybody in the process, like inside a dead zone, a factory. The same way that they build the argument around Chad the Builder. Chad the Builder wanted to try to trap somebody into like killing them. You cannot build a trap inside the space here to go off and bring people in and trap them and kill them in the process. So they apply the same logic like the industry, the manufacturing system, all that stuff left out also, just because of the fact that I don't know, somewhere people were trapping people to go off and kill them and take the money in the process. So yeah, so the next man over here that realized that he was inside of a trap was like, oh, wait a minute, wow, I cannot trust this guy over there. They're like, yeah, I cannot trust this guy over there. We cannot trust this dude over there. I can't trust you over there. And they can't trust you over there. So I said they need a mediator to go off and like be the law. And somewhat, I don't know, bring everybody at the table. And every time they find a mistake or error, you see the whole appear under them. And they're like, so you go to Detroit. Send him to Detroit over there. And he's gone. He disappears. So I said by the end of the day, I know what I'm talking about on the special side. Now I stick to my instincts. It's fucking annoying that somebody as talented as me will go off and be accessed by a whole bunch of dumbass people that don't want nothing to do with us. And they steal from me. So that's so disgusting. Yeah.